Hey everybody, and welcome to Bros at the Board. My name is Mike, and I will be your keeper for this adventure.
Hey, I'm Ray. Should I introduce my character right now?
No, we'll get to that in just a minute.
Okay, I'm just so excited.
I know, me too. It's all right.
And I'm Nick. I'm also very excited.
And we are just three bros who are coming together to have a good time. We're going to be playing some Monster of the Week. For those of you who aren't familiar, that's a tabletop role-playing game, kind of like Dungeons & Dragons, but not really. And we're going to be going through a story that I've been working on for everybody here called the Chronicles of ORB. What all that means we're going to get to in just a couple of minutes here. But we decided to make this podcast, because we're all fans of the genre. We all listen to a bunch of different podcasts. Some that you guys are probably familiar with are things like maybe The Adventure Zone or Friends at the Table. For me personally, I drew a lot of inspiration from both of those. And I'm gonna be kind of not trying to emulate, but just kind of act in the same spirit as Griffin McElroy from The Adventure Zone and Austin Walker from Friends at the Table. Both of those guys are really impressive, DMs and keepers and just kind of runners of the game. And hopefully I'm, even a fraction as good as they are. So we are going to be playing Monster of the Week, and that is kind of like every 80s campy monster movie that you've ever seen in your life. We have everything from werewolves to vampires to ghosts and aliens and everything else in between and beyond existing.
Oh my.
Sorry?
I said oh my.
Oh yeah, oh my indeed. And you guys are going to get to meet all kinds of fun stuff along the way here. One thing we wanted to do right at the top here, I just want to tell you guys what my agenda is as the keeper, and I'll probably do this at the beginning of every session just because I think it helps to set the tone, and I think it is important for the people listening to know that, this is kind of my driving principle as the keeper. These are the three things specifically that I'm going to be trying to make sure we kind of follow as a rule set. Everything else, we'll figure it out as we go. So the first thing on the Keeper agenda is to make the world seem real, and I think that's going to be pretty easy because our setting is actually very similar to the world that we live in today. But I would call it kind of like Earth adjacent. Technology and history and everything is pretty much played out the same way, with one big exception. The world that we inhabit is also home very openly to all kinds of paranormal occurrences and creatures. The governments of the world have accepted this as just kind of a fact of life. There's not really much they can do about it, but they try to keep a lid on a lot of these things, so they're not very visible to the public eye whenever possible. For that purpose, they have created the Oddities Research Bureau, which is an international organization. It operates all around the world, and their basic goal is to go into places where there's something paranormal kicking off and resolve it before it becomes a big problem. It really starts to become an issue when you have doomsday, end-of-the-world cults trying to bring about the apocalypse every other week. The second thing on the Keeper agenda here is play to see what happens. And what that means for me is I have kind of a basic outline of some characters and story ideas and monsters that you might encounter. But beyond that, this story is really going to be up to you guys as we play through to decide what happens. I don't have any preconceived rules about who can and can't die, what will or won't happen. I'm just going to kind of put you in situations and we're going to see how they play out. And then that brings me to my third point on the Keeper agenda, which is make hunters' lives dangerous and scary. And boy, oh boy, do I plan on doing that. Nothing in this world that you're going to be entering is sacred. Every NPC, every character you interact with, and even your characters are constantly going to be getting placed in harm's way. That's just the reality of a world like that. If we had paranormal entities and creatures zipping around in the world as we live in it today, things I'm sure would be pretty perilous for people who had to deal with that on a regular basis. So those are the three things on the Keeper agenda. Did you guys have any questions or anything you wanted me to explain further with that?
No, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Perfect.
Well said.
Thanks. Yeah, I think
Well said indeed.
It's definitely good to have that kind of as a driving set of ideas here. So we are going to jump sort of right into things. As I've explained, our kind of overreaching thing here is going to be this organization, ORB, the Oddities Research Bureau. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to start with a trial of sorts. The Oddities Research Bureau employs people from all different walks of life as kind of independent contractors, if you will. They have a lot of people that work for them on a sort of contract basis where they do one job here or there, they get paid, and then if their services are needed in the future, they're brought back. In order to become an actual ORB agent, you have to go through a stringent testing process, which includes both written and practical exams. We are entering the scene at the practical exam for the ORB's newest potential employee by the name of Yuri. So, Ray, do you want to tell us a bit about Yuri?
Yes, please. Okay, so yeah, I am playing Yuri Yamamoto. He's named after both Katsuki Yuri and Miya Yamamoto. If you don't know who those people are, I highly suggest you give a couple of quick Google searches so you kind of like get a better feel from where I'm coming at. He's 22 years old. He is Japanese, and I am playing him under the rule book of the Flake. So that means this is just kind of like Monster of the Week little spiel that they give under the Flake. It says, everything's connected, but not everyone can see the patterns. And most people don't even look that hard. But me, I can never stop looking deeper. I can never stop seeing the truth. I spot the patterns. That's how I found the monsters, and that's how I will help kill them. I'm going to actually redact that last part. Yuri is defo not about killing monsters, but he is a tracker by trade, and some of the moves that I picked for him are see it all fits together. Should I talk about what these each individually do?
Yeah, just that brief overview on the sheet.
Okay, yeah. So see it all fits together is you use sharp instead of charm to manipulate someone. And then I also have often overlooked, where I would roll plus weird. On a 10 plus, I'm regarded as unthreatening and unimportant. On a 7 and 9, I pick one of those, and on a miss, I attract a lot of unwanted attention. And my last move is called Sneaky. So when I attack from ambush or from behind, I can inflict plus 2 harm. And yeah, that's me.
Okay, so that should be interesting. We'll get a little bit more into Yuri's background in just a minute here.
Absolutely.
And then, Nick, why don't you tell us about Agent Rogers?
Alrighty. I'd be happy to do that for you, sir. Agent Rogers is an older gentleman, and he is the spooky, as I like to call him. He has a dark side, which gives him some like negative effects, which the keeper can, choose to
use to make your life more difficult.
Right. My dark side effects would be my dark bargain, porous impulse control, and paranoia.
And we'll get into how that works mechanically a little bit later on. But basically, those 3 tags are going to allow me to make Nick here make some really hard decisions when it comes to using more powerful abilities that he might want to tap into as our story goes along.
Right. And for my moves, I decided to go with the sight, which allows me to see the invisible and other things when I'm looking for clues. The big whammy, which I can use my powers to kick some ass. And And then for my third move, or moves, we kind of went with something different for the spooky, which is a combination of sorts of premonitions and hunches, which I'll let Mike explain because he was the brainchild of said thing.
Right, so we really like the idea of both premonitions and hunches as moves, but I feel like they kind of are a little bit redundant. And I also think the issue with hunches is that bad things happen to people all the time in this world, in the game, and with the way that the text is written...
And in real life.
Right, and in real life. And the way that the text is written, it says any time that something bad is happening or about to happen. And I think that kind of leaves it a little bit too broad. So what we've done is we've rolled them into premonition, and what'll happen is Nick's character, Mr. or Agent Rogers, will still get his premonition at the start of each mystery. And from there, as we play through these story arcs and we kind of resolve situations that are related to that initial premonition, he'll get flashes or glimpses of other things that might be happening or changing as they go. So that way you kind of get the bonus of both hunches and premonitions, and I think narratively it's just a lot more interesting to do it that way. So if the two of you are ready, I'm ready to start. Are you guys good to go?
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
So we find ourselves in a nondescript warehouse setting. It's just like every warehouse you've seen on a television show or a movie. It's got that kind of dark gray concrete exterior, a big pitched roof, and from the outside there is really nothing spectacular about it. As we go inside, though, the scene opens on Yuri and Agent Rogers standing in what is the first of a series of rooms in a long hallway that lead down to a larger room at the end. Yuri and Agent Rogers are about to be undergoing Yuri's examination to become a member of ORB, an agent of ORB, rather. This is a practical examination to see if Yuri has what it takes to be an agent for the organization, and if Yuri and Agent Rogers might make a good team. Standing in front of you is a man named Rodrigo Valdez, who both of you are very familiar with by this point. He's in his early 30s, and he's one of the equipment managers for ORB. Before you get sent out on missions and things in the future, assuming that you pass the test, Rodrigo is one of the last people you'll see before you hit the road. He's the guy that's going to hook you up with whatever equipment you might get provided for special cases and instances from ORB. He's a somewhat laid-back guy on the surface, but you can see that right now he's a little bit tense. He's taken a bit of a shine to you, Yuri, over your time here as a trainee, and him and Agent Rogers go way back, so he's really excited and a little bit nervous for you guys to be taking on this test right now.
Can I ask you a question, Mike?
Sure, of course.
How did Yuri do on his written exam?
You will get the results of both at the end of your practical exam.
Okay.
So, Rodrigo turns to you, and he tries to stop fidgeting a little bit, and he puts that award-winning smile that he has on, and he says, "So are you guys ready for this?"
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. You know how it's going to go. In about 2 minutes here, I'm going to leave the room, and the lights are going to start to flash, and you'll get the countdown for about 10 seconds. When the door opens, you'll move into the next room, and it's up to you to figure it out from there. Yuri, you're a great kid. You know, I was really impressed with how you got here. I mean, thinking about it, you spent so much time in Japan going after the Hibagon, and it was really just impressive work, kid. No matter what happens, I want you to know you should be able to hang your hat pretty proudly on that. You almost got to him before we did.
Almost. Thank you.
And Rogers, well, what can I say that hasn't already been said, man? I'm sure you know what you're doing.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll be alright.
Yeah, just one other thing. They wanted me to remind you that because of everything that happened and, kind of how things played out, The score that Yuri comes through the test with is also going to apply for you and your rank as you come off of administrative leave, Rogers. Just a word to the wise man. Stop pissing off the administration. You know that they keep you around out of respect for everything that's happened, but I don't know, man. Another incident like that, and I don't know that they're going to let you come back a third time.
Yeah, understood.
Alright, well, that settles it, gentlemen. Good luck and kick some ass. And with that, Valdez heads out the door behind you, and as he walks out, you hear a heavy latch bolt on the other side.
All right.
Well, Yuri, I hope you're ready for this.
With that, the regular lights in the room click out, and you get that very dramatic jun 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 noise as the lights go down, and the emergency red lights drop down from the ceiling and begin to flash, filling the room with flashing red light. You hear an electronic voice come over an unseen loudspeaker and begin counting down from 10. As the voice hits 1, the door in front of you slides open with hydraulic speed, and a dark room awaits before you. What do you do?
Well, kid, it's now or never.
All right. I walk inside.
So do I.
Okay, there is no light in this room. What do you do?
I have all the gear on my character sheet, right?
Yes, everything except the ID, because you wouldn't have gotten that.
Sure. Okay.
You have your trainee ID. You don't have your agent credentials yet.
Okay. I'm gonna take out my flashlight.
Rogers has stepped into the room pretty breezily, as I'm pretty sure he's done this at least once or twice already.
Okay. So Yuri, what are you doing with that flashlight?
I'm gonna turn it on, and do I have to roll to turn on the flashlight, or can I just turn it on?
No, you do not have to roll to turn on a flashlight.
Okay. Cool. So I turn on the flashlight, and
oh shit!
the beam is definitely like incredibly shaky. Do I see anything?
So as you swing your flashlight around the room, it bounces off the metallic walls, and you see that over in the corner to the right of the door on the opposite side of the room, there is the figure of a man with his back turned towards you, just staring into the corner silently, not moving. What do you do?
My flashlight steadies.
No.
Yeah. I feel like Yuri is an anxious person, where he's definitely afraid of the unknown, but once, like, as far as, like, monsters and creepy shit goes, if, like, it's there, if he could see it, the fear's gone. If that makes sense.
Okay.
To an extent. I mean, you know, this is just a dude. This is just a dude, so the dude isn't gonna freak him out. But I mean, like, if it's some otherworldly shit, you know, I'm not saying
like if we spin the dude around and he has no face,
that might unsettle me.
Yuri might have a problem.
That might unsettle me. Yes.
Okay. I feel like Agent Rogers at this point is going to slowly approach.
Okay, then I'm following.
On the side of caution.
So as you get about halfway across the room towards the figure in the corner, you see just almost imperceptibly a slight movement of its head in recognition that it hears something in the room, but the body is still not moving, and there's no sound coming from the figure. What do you do?
I don't like the description of it. Let me tell you.
Should we read a bad situation?
I don't know. That's up to you guys.
Well, I'm asking Agent Rogers.
So hold on. So Yuri just said out loud to Agent Rogers, "Should we read a bad situation?" Is what you're telling me.
Well, I think he would have said, because Agent Rogers has been through this before, so I think he would turn to him and be like, "Do you know what this is?"
So something I'll mention.
I think that's fair.
Something I'll mention before you answer that, Agent Rogers, is every time that the orb test is administered, it's different. You have a general idea of the kind of thing you might run into, but you likely would not know the exact configuration of the rooms or the challenges / puzzles you might encounter within.
Right, but I don't know that, so Agent Rogers, do you know what this is?
No. Kid, they change the tests up every time.
Okay.
We are figuratively and literally in the dark here, so...
Well, then I think I'm gonna...
Think on your toes.
I think, out of character, I'm going to read a bad situation.
Okay. So, the way that rolls work in Monster of the Week, for anybody who might not be familiar, the only dice you're ever going to roll are going to be a 6-sided die. Most of the time you'll be rolling 2. And I will never be rolling dice. As the keeper in Monster of the Week, I just get to do things. I get to react to moves that you guys make based on how your rolls come out. So, to read a bad situation, you go ahead and I believe you roll plus sharp.
Mm-hmm.
And then tell me what you get and what your outcome is there.
I rolled a 4, and my sharp is 2.
Okay,
so I got a 5, so I can mark 1 experience point. Well, can I not? Is that a fail, or is that not?
Yeah, that would...
What? No, you said... Didn't you say you rolled a 4 and your sharp is 2? That's a 6.
Oh.
5.
Whoops.
Right, so you rolled a 6, which means you do get to mark experience for your character, but it does mean that I get to make a move against you as well using any of my keeper moves here. So here's what's going to happen. You are trying to read a bad situation to figure out what this figure standing in the corner is, and you have 2 kind of options here. You can either move forward and try to turn the creature around to get a better look at it, or you can call out to it.
I think I would call out to it.
Before we do either of those things, can I use the sight and try to get a feel for what's happening?
You won't be able to do that until after Yuri's move here resolves.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Okay, so you're asking me specifically.
Yes. What does
Yuri do?
For sure he's calling out way before he goes and touches that thing.
And what is it that Yuri calls out?
Hey, buddy, how's it going? Are you here to give us part of the exam, or?
Kid, I'm pretty sure it's not.
So, right as you finish speaking, Agent Rogers, the figure in front of you whips around, and before either one of you has time to react, it's on you, Yuri. It is maybe 6 inches from your face, and you are headbutted for 1 harm.
Oh, shit, kid.
Heck.
And with that, you are knocked back kind of away from Rogers. Rogers, what do you do?
I'm gonna roll to kick some ass.
Okay, so go ahead and roll your 2d6 and add whatever your modifier for that is.
Plus tough.
That would be 6 and a 4 plus tough.
So it's a 9. That's not bad.
No, not bad at all.
So on a 7+, you and whatever you're fighting inflict harm on each other. The amount of harm is based on the established dangers. Usually it means you inflict the harm rating of your weapon and your enemy inflicts their attack on you. So what are you trying to do here? Are you just swinging with a closed fist? Are you using some kind of tool? What is happening?
Are you slapping it?
No. I'm going to give it a good old 1-2. Or at least try.
Okay, so you swing your... And are you aiming for the head?
Yeah.
So you swing your fist, and what you make contact with, you expect it to be hard and kind of bony. You've hit people before in your line of work. So you know what it's like to punch a person in the face. You know what it's like to punch a lot of other things in the face too. And this is definitely not a person, is the first thing that you realize. The second thing that you realize is as you make a connection with your second jab, it has reached out one of its arms at you and it slashes it across your chest, doing 2 harm.
Oh!
Now, do you have any armor or anything like that might negate some of that impact, or?
Not that I know of.
You're not a beefy boy?
Oh, it can be with your equipment. Sometimes if you have a piece of clothing or something like that has an armor rating.
No, I would definitely go with no in this scenario.
Alright, well you're going to take that full 2 harm then. Yuri, you are on your back probably about 2 or 3 feet away from where Rogers and this creature are.
I'm going to throw my flashlight at it. So what is that? Kick some ass?
Yeah, if you're trying to inflict harm on this thing.
Hell yeah, I am. Hold on. I got 0 tough, so Daddy's got to do a good roll. A 5 and a 3, that's an 8.
Oh.
Plus 0.
Okay, so you and the thing are going to inflict harm on each other.
Doofy doofy. Some more.
Okay, so you...
Can I tell you my intention, though?
Sure.
Besides just inflicting harm?
Yeah, please do.
I'm trying to see... Because you said when he hit it, it didn't feel like a person. So I'm trying to see if this is just gonna, like, phase through it or something.
Right.
That was where my head was at.
Right.
Okay. Testing the waters.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of both, you know?
I gotcha. So your flashlight is a 1 harm object, correct?
Right.
Okay, so
Yes.
you throw your flashlight at this thing over by Rogers, and as your flashlight kind of spins end over end as it approaches, for just a second you get a glimpse of what should be the place where a face is. What you see, however, is just kind of a blank sheet. There's what looks to be skin there, but there's no kind of openings or mouth or eyes or nose or anything like that to note. And a second after that, it smacks right into this creature's head, and it rears back a moment as it's a little stunned from the impact. But it did notice that you just threw a flashlight at it, so it lurches towards you, and it actually trips over your foot as it approaches you in the dark and lands on top of you. And I'm not gonna cause any harm for you on that just yet, but you are now kind of pinned by this thing on the ground.
Okay.
Rogers, what's going on with you, bud?
I'm gonna try to help Yuri out and get it off of him.
All right.
Please.
So it sounds like you probably have to roll something for that.
Probably
Yeah,
help
what?
out.
No.
Right?
Yeah, I would think so.
Or protect someone?
No, I think in this case,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, help
No.
out.
Yeah,
is
no, in
definitely,
this case it'd be help out. Okay, so 2D?
yeah,
2D6?
2d6 plus your cool modifier.
Let's see what we got here.
Never do that again.
Oh, actually, hang on a minute. No, I don't know if it would be help out.
Well, I think help out is traditionally used for when you're trying to help somebody on a roll.
Right. So,
But could we use it anyway? Because he's not trying to prevent harm.
no, I think what you would be.
I definitely am.
I think what you'd be doing here is trying to act under pressure. Because
That's fair, too.
this thing that has now hurt you both is on top of your potentially new partner and inexperienced trainee, and
That's fair.
kind of, it's on you now to make something happen.
Okay. Alright, here we go. 3 and a 6 is a 9. And cool modifier is a 0, buddy.
Okay, so on a 7 to 9, the keeper gives you a worse choice, worse outcome, hard choice, or price to pay.
Oof.
So you can get this thing off of Yuri, but in doing so, you're going to open yourself up to probably another attack from it.
How many harm can we take until we're, like, in need
Yeah,
of
that's a good question.
Once you hit
medical attention.
Once you hit 4, you're in trouble.
Okay. Where are you at right now, Nick?
2.
Okay. Well.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm going to help him out.
Okay, so you reach down and you grab the shoulders of this thing and you yank it up off of your young partner there on the floor, and it spins around, and it can't quite get its claws on you like it did the first time, so it takes a swing, but it only makes partial contact and it does 1 harm.
Okay.
Jeez, this is just the first part. Are there multiple parts? I guess I'm not asking that to anybody. I'm just saying this out loud.
Yeah, you will find out. So Yuri, what are you doing now? Or Rogers, which one of you is doing what?
I'll help Yuri up off of his feet, and then I'm gonna whip out my 38 revolver.
Okay, and you want to take a shot at this thing?
I'm gonna pop off a couple shots, see what happens. Since we're in pretty close proximity currently.
Okay, so I believe for that you would have to kick some ass, right?
Yeah, yeah. I can't see what else you'd have to do, you know?
Yep, so go ahead and roll that for me then.
Oh boy. And what's that, plus tough?
Yeah. What's your tough?
-1.
Why?
So we have a
Why is Yuri tougher
3.
than you?
We have a 3.
Jesus Christ.
A 3. Ooh, boy, that's...
What?
That's not great.
Yeah, I got the feeling Agent Rogers about to end before he got started.
Well, now, I'm not trying to... This is not supposed to be a 1-episode kind of show here.
20-minute.
Yeah, and that's it for...
We clearly ain't...
That's it for the ORB Chronicles, folks. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to our one-shot.
So, you take a shot at this thing with your 38. Maybe it's from the scratch where it hit you, or maybe it's just been a while since you've been to the shooting range, but your shot goes way wide. You are not even close. You can actually hear the bullet ping off of the metal wall on the far side of the room.
Fair.
And then this creature has time to kind of jerk its way towards you, and it knocks that 38 and it goes scattering across the floor away from you.
Oh boy.
Yuri, what do you do?
Okay, so paint me a picture. This thing is on top of Agent Rogers, or
no? So everybody is standing back up now. Rogers and this thing are maybe about, I don't know, a foot or two away from you, and this thing has just knocked the gun out of Agent Rogers' hand.
So I have in my gear section throwing knives. And apparently that's multiple throwing knives. So I'm going to take one of those out, but I don't want to throw it. I'm just going to try to, yak this thing in the temple while it's close to us and semi-distracted.
Okay, so you want to...
There's got to be kick some ass.
You want to stab this thing in the not face.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if I'd go for the face, but...
Well...
Ooh, double 6s, and I'm not even lying.
Oh, boy.
Plus tough, that's a 0. So I got a 12, buddy. That's a success.
That is definitely a success, and I believe a success for that basically reads as you do what you set out to do, correct?
Stab him good.
Yeah,
Bury it to the hilt.
So you also get to pick an enhanced effect on a 12+.
God, we really jumped into this.
Oh, it's
fight without knowing what's up.
So you can go ahead and select one of those.
I'm gonna say my attack inflicts double the normal harm. Those are, I believe, 1 harm. Yeah.
All right. So you jump forward with your throwing knife in hand, and you slam your fist down towards the area where this thing should have a temple. And your knife meets not exactly flesh and buries itself down up to the hilt. As soon as it does, this thing freezes stiff like a board and falls over to the floor. The lights come on in the room that you're in, And the next door on the far wall from you opens up, leading into the next room. Oh, that might be copyrighted. I don't know if we could do that. Yeah, you guys have solved my faceless skin bag puzzle.
Was that like a thing? Like, did that thing have a name? Is there like lore I can go Google later after this about whatever that was?
So Agent Rogers, and actually Yuri, you would know this too from your time training, now that you've had a moment to kind of see it with the lights turned on. You guys know that this is basically the orb equivalent of a training dummy. They are these kind of golems given life, made out of things like sandbags and paper mache, and really just whatever they have around to give it some shape and heft.
I hate that.
Huh.
I hate it.
Well, it's
I hate that.
It's not exactly like you see them just wandering the halls, you know?
No, I get it. It's just an unpleasant thought. Like a big ghost doll.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Let's keep going, I guess. Can we, like, heal up? Is there any of that? Agent Rogers is looking pretty rough around the edges.
So as your benevolent keeper in the early stages here, I'll tell you two things. First, you want to make sure that you recover any equipment that is not on your person before you leave a room like this. So
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to just say, Agent Rogers bends over to pick up his weapon, throws out his poor old man back.
Can that be as simple as me just saying I get my stuff, meaning both the knife and the flashlight?
yeah, that works. That's
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't need a flowing word tapestry for I pick my stuff up off the ground.
I pull the knife slowly out of the dummy. Its blood squelching.
Oh, they don't have blood.
It's clay squelching.
And so in the future, obviously, any healing is going to have to be done by, magic or visiting a doctor or something like that. But for the purposes of the orb test, they don't really want to have to, bring in paramedics every time somebody gets a little bit beat up. So mounted on either side of the wall next to the door into the next room is what looks kind of like a sports drink in a nondescript plastic bottle. And this is basically a special serum that Orb uses. They can only produce pretty limited quantities of it, so they can't really give it to folks to take out in the field before you try to figure that out. For the purposes of training, you can drink that and it will reduce your harm meter back to 0.
Nice.
If you don't already have a name for it, can I suggest Michael's Secret Stuff?
Michael's Secret Stuff. Well, that's pretty good. I guess I have to invent an NPC with the name Michael now.
Obviously, the leader of Orb is Michael Kane.
Well,
and
guys, that's not till Arc 5. Come on, get out of here. What are you doing spoiling the story?
So I grab the bottle of Michael's Secret Stuff, and I take a few swigs.
I mean, can I take a bottle and not drink from it, and can I just have it?
No. So the bottles are actually
that seems against the rules.
They're actually they're attached the way that like pens at a bank are. They have kind of like a zip tie on the back of them. So as soon as you're done drinking from it, it'll snap back to the wall, so you can't take it with you.
So does that get me back to 0 harm, or like to 1 maybe?
Yes, so that'll reset you to 0 harm. And remember, that is just for the purposes of these training rooms. And
there was 2, right? We both get one?
Right.
Yes, you both are able.
I don't necessarily need it, but...
Yeah, you both are able to remove any harm done to you before moving into the next room.
Cool beans!
Also, I have a question.
Yes.
Do we start out with luck points and then use them? Not that I'm going to necessarily be using a luck point on my entrance exams, but just for like future reference.
Yes. So the way that works is on your character sheet you should have a bar. Each time that you use a point of luck, you fill in one segment on that bar. As you use more luck points, progressively worse things will start happening to you. And if you use all of them, you enter a character state called Doomed, and that basically means that I get to make your life a living hell. hope that you guys don't have to get to that point anytime soon. But the way that luck works traditionally in Monster of the Week is once you've used a point, there's no way to unfill that segment, so you have a limited number.
Looks like we have 7.
Right. So,
or is it different for everybody?
No, it's 7. It's a base of 7 across the board. So, in the maybe as we go, will there be some kind of way to change your luck? Who knows? But for now, the regular rules of luck will apply.
Alrighty.
All right. So are you guys heading into that next room then?
Yes.
So you enter through the doorway into the next room, and a large metal door slides shut behind you, sealing off the first room. In this room, the lights are on, and there's no creatures anywhere that you can see. But as you look across the room from you, you see that there are 7 doors on the other side of this room. What do you do?
There's 7 doors? That's a hard choice, Mike. You really throwing me for one.
Gee, if only you guys had, moves that you could use.
I'm reading them. I'm reading them right now. I think that would be Investigate a Mystery. No, it would not.
No, it might be.
That's like, what happened here? What sort of creature is it? What can it do? What can it hurt? Where can it go? What is it going to do? What is being concealed here? Some of those might apply, but I think better is what's my best way in? What's my best way out? Are there dangers we haven't noticed? And so on. I think that makes more sense because this is so
definitely
ambiguous of a situation. And we know so little. So I'm going to read about a situation. Yeah.
You could definitely try to do that again.
What?
You can definitely try to do that again. Didn't go so well the first time, but
Well, I rolled a 6 plus sharp is 2.
Okay. So you got an 8 then?
Yarp.
Alright, so on a 7 to 9, you hold 1. And what that means is you get to ask me any one of those questions off the list there.
Are you going to be a stickler if I pick either what's my best way in or what's my best way out? Because I feel like right now those are interchangeable.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, it's probably interchangeable. In the future, they might mean different things,
Sure. But I want to go with, what's my best way out? Because I want to know what fucking door I'm supposed to go through. That's a lot of doors, dude.
So
7 whole doors.
As you take a look at the situation before you here, you flash back to something that you read in one of the ORB textbooks back in the earliest parts of your training with the Bureau. Puzzles like this, when you get to the practical exam, are considered sort of like logic puzzles. Usually there is some kind of clue or other hint that is going to give you a rule that you'll be able to apply to the situation and get yourself through to the next section of the test. So what you realize here is that above each of the doors is a symbol. The symbols are all kind of dark, and as you look around the rest of the room, you notice that there are symbols on different parts of the wall as well. So your best way out is going to be to figure out what the symbols on the wall and the symbols above the doors kind of have to do with each other.
Okay, can I just start looking around and could you tell me what they look like?
Sure. So the 7 symbols that are above the doors from left to right are a cross, a star, 2 squiggly lines, a square, a triangle, a circle, and a hexagon. And then as you look around at the symbols on the different parts of the wall, you see that they are all kind of different. They don't seem to follow any particular pattern or rule. But you do notice that each one of them has kind of there's a sequence of numbering to it in some way. So for instance, one of the ones that you see is a circle with a dot in the middle and 3 lines intersecting the circle at different points.
Okay. What wall is that on?
That's on the wall behind you.
Okay.
And the symbols are just kind of scattered throughout the room on the walls. There doesn't seem to be...
Is their placement not important?
Yeah, the placement of the symbols is not super important to how you get through.
I would like to make a hunt. That's one of my moves.
Okay, how would that work here, do you think?
I don't know, honestly. Maybe... I guess it really wouldn't, would it?
Why not?
Because it has it has to do more with when something bad is like immediately happening. Not so much. You know, maybe instead I'll use the sight.
Okay.
Try and spot some clues or something.
Okay, so you're gonna...
Let's go with the sight.
So you're gonna activate the sight then?
Yes.
Okay. So you activate the sight, and what that means is you can see the invisible, especially spirits and magical influences. You may communicate or make deals with spirits you see, and they give you more opportunities to spot clues when you investigate a mystery. So what I'll give you for activating that right now is when you look around the room, you see that the different symbols on the walls definitely have some kind of magical energy radiating within them. When you look at the symbols above the doors, you see that they also carry traces of that same magical energy, but they're latent right now, like they're waiting to be activated.
Alright, kid.
Order?
Alright, kid, don't ask me how I know this, but there's definitely some magic aura behind these symbols above and on the doors.
Around the room.
I guess I'll investigate a mystery as well.
Yeah, I think
Delve
that
a little
helps.
deeper into that.
Alright, so go ahead and roll that, and then you're going to get some bonus info if you roll well here. That will be because of the sight.
Oh God, help me please roll well. Oh, double sixes plus one!
Alright, so
Lovely.
you can ask me any question that you want.
Oh my God.
What
How do
fucking
we get
door
out
do we
of
go
this
through?
room?
So the trick here is you have to activate the symbols in a certain order to light the symbols above the doors up,
Okay.
and then something will happen.
Alright.
Okay.
Have you guys
there
ever played a video game before? Is this the first time?
Yeah, but you haven't told me anything about like what the symbols on the walls look like. Like there's no puzzle for me to figure out except for...
So the symbols on the walls each have a marking that kind of indicates almost like a numerical value. Like one has a single dot that's prominent, one has 2 slashes, one has 3...
Oh, okay. I gotcha. That's why you said the whole thing earlier with the circle with the 3 lines through it, right?
Yes.
That's what you were
Right.
hinting at earlier? Okay.
Right,
Okay,
I get
okay,
that,
okay,
and I
okay.
have that one drawn, but, like, what do all of the other ones look like? Or am I thinking too hard about this?
I think maybe you're
No, I
thinking
don't
a
think
little
you
bit
are.
too hard.
Oh.
We just start opening doors?
I don't know about that. I think we should probably try numerical order. One of them was 2 squiggly lines, so that's probably the 2.
Oh.
The circle had the 3 in it.
On the wall, though. What if it's something like the square is 4, the triangle's 3, the hexagons...
What if we have to spin the
5,
room
6?
to match what's on top of the wall? Where's the giant lever, like in the video game that I cranked to spin the walls of the room to match the doors?
There is no giant lever.
There's no giant lever.
So at this point, you hear a voice come over the intercom that you can't see anywhere in the room, and it says, "Maybe you should try touching something." You don't recognize the voice on the intercom, by the way.
Okay.
Are the
Not
on the
even
symbols
I
on the
do?
walls like coming out of the wall? Like they look like buttons I could fuck with?
They don't look like buttons, but I mean, they are.
Well, like
they
I
are
said, kid,
reachable.
they have a magical energy.
Can I go press one? I'm gonna go press one. I'm gonna go press the circle with the dot and the 3 lines.
Sure.
I'm
So
gonna put my hand on it.
So you go over and you touch the. You know what? For the symbols on the walls, I'm gonna make this a little simpler since we see we have a little trouble here. They're
really fixated on them.
They're tally marks, numbering 1 through 7.
Okay.
Okay.
So
now we just gotta figure out which one.
yeah. So
Like I said,
which one?
The circle is the 3. Squiggly lines are 2, because there's 2 of them. Now we just gotta piece together the rest somehow by, using our special human eyes, seeing what defining marks each shape has on it that we can match to a numerical value between 1 and 7. So, what's that cross got on it?
It's just a cross. It's
Even on the wall, it's just a cross? Or is there no cross on the wall?
Okay, above each door, you have the first list of symbols that I gave you.
Right.
From left to right in that order, okay?
Yes.
On the walls, not counting the wall that the doors are on across from you, there are various glowing tally marks numbering 1 through 7 that, maybe you want to try doing something with.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Oh, Jesus.
Still working out the kinks here, folks.
Did anything happen when I touched the one with the 3 tally marks then?
So you touch it, and you feel a slight zap in your hand, but otherwise nothing else happens.
Okay. Can I go touch the one with 1 tally mark?
Yes, so when you touch that one, it lights up green, and the symbol above the first door lights up as well.
So the cross.
All right.
I think I'm getting a hang of this thing, Agent Rogers. You want to take a crack at it?
Sure.
Come slap
I
this
walk over
2.
and I slap that 2 tally mark.
So when you slap the second one, the symbol above the second door lights up.
The star.
Yeah, yep, the star.
I take my other hand, I spit on it, I slap it on the 3.
So it does light up green, and the third symbol does light up, but you also feel a zap because that's gross.
This is pretty weird. They're just going in order here.
Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, kid. Just slap that 4 and so on.
Okay, Yuri runs around the room and slaps the rest of the numbers.
Okay, as you slap each one sequentially, the symbol above the door, that would be that number in the order, lights up, and when you slap the 7th one, you hear a little doo-doo-doo-doo, and the 4th door slides open, and the symbols go dark above the rest.
Okay.
Hey!
That doesn't feel right, but okay, let's go in.
So you guys enter the third room?
Yeah, absolutely.
Alright, so you enter the third room, and the door slides shut behind you. And you're now in the final room of the examination before you get your results. What you see here is a little bit difficult for anybody who wouldn't be working at ORB to comprehend, but both of you pretty quickly realize what you're looking at. On the left half of the room, you see a large blue cloud of mist kind of swirling around, but it doesn't move like mist out in the world would. It's clearly moving with some kind of purpose and definition. And on the right half of the room, you see a large red block sitting in the center of the floor. What do you do?
Well, kid, this is a classic case of red, blue pill, and one of us is going to take us into the Matrix, the other one is going to lead us back to our normal, everyday lives.
I've never seen The Matrix. Which one does which?
So
I don't remember. Good luck!
So Yuri, actually, I want to ask you a question about that.
Okay.
So
about The Matrix?
Yeah, so your partner just made a reference to a story that is really big about being trapped in a simulation of reality.
Oh, yeah.
Would that maybe mean anything to Yuri for some reason?
Yuri definitely has an all-encompassing fear of being trapped in some kind of simulation of reality. I think he just read too many science fiction books as a kid.
Or saw The Matrix too many times.
No, I just established that he hasn't seen The Matrix. Neither have I. At least I didn't stay awake for it when I did watch it. But no, he's never seen The Matrix.
Shameful.
But that might be something that maybe... I don't know if he would enjoy that at all, or if it would only feed into it. So, basically, what that means for Yuri is he has a series of fail-safes and morning routine, if you would, that he does to check and make sure that that his subconscious has not been uploaded into some kind of virtual cloud, and that he is who he thinks he is, and that everything is real.
Wow,
that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But yeah,
for someone who didn't want to kill monsters, you buried that knife hard and deep.
Well, it was gross and it hurt me.
Fair enough.
You know, like
Fair
it wasn't
enough.
cute.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm being tested.
Oh, also fair. Also fair.
But yeah, so that's my deal. So hopefully this isn't that.
All right, then.
But so Yuri doesn't have any particular kind of reaction to the mention of the Matrix at that moment, or?
No, he doesn't know what the Matrix is.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what are you guys doing in this room here?
Can I investigate a mystery now? Now does it make sense?
You can, Rogers. Actually, you still have the sight active, right?
Oh, yeah, I guess I do.
So
you want me to investigate that mystery instead there, buddy?
no, but I'm gonna tell you something that you notice with the sight as soon as you come into the room,
okay.
because you already have it turned on.
All right, cool.
The blue fog that's moving around erratically on the left half of the room, you know for a fact that is just kind of loose magical energy that has been condensed into a sort of gaseous form and put into the room by orb. You also know that the large red block on the right-hand side is giving off hella magical energy. You don't recognize what kind of energy it is, but it is incredibly magic.
Kind of sucks neither of us can do magic, eh? We just got, like, guns and stuff.
Well, I mean, in the world of Monster of the Week, anybody can do magic.
Is that true?
Yeah, one of your basic hunter moves is use magic.
Well, I mean,
crap.
for, like, the mundane, for example, that wouldn't work.
I don't know that we have established exactly how magic works in this world, so...
Yeah, maybe it's more of like a, you study it, you learn it.
You're the god here, so...
Right, and what I'm saying...
I'll let you make those rules, guy.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be a stickler about it.
What I'm saying to you is magic is not just necessarily throwing fireballs and calling down lightning bolts. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. And it's plus
Fair and
weird,
good.
which
Good
I
and
got.
fair.
I got some of that. Okay. So Rogers, are you gonna investigate a mystery, or should I?
No, I'll do it.
Okay,
Since
let's
I still
go.
have the site activated, It makes sense. 4 and 3
Oh.
plus 1, I believe.
Okay, so that gives you an 8 then?
Yeah.
So you get hold 1, and you can ask me any one of those questions from the Investigate a Mystery list. And I'll give you a little bit extra with it because of your sight.
I don't have the list in front of me, and I'm not going to waste time looking it up right now. You want to just,
What
pick a
happened
question
here?
that's most pertinent to the situation for me, and I ask that one?
Well, no, you have to pick the question, but the list...
I will read them to you.
Yeah.
What happened here? What sort of creature is it? What can it do? What can it hurt? Where did it go? What was it going to do? What is being concealed here? Ding, 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 ding. Do that one.
Yeah. What is being concealed here?
So, when you took your test, Rogers, you actually, the first time, I should say, you had a puzzle that was very similar to this. Obviously, that was a very different time for the Bureau, so the setup was a little bit different, but the same basic...
Yeah, something you said earlier made me think that maybe Agent Rogers had seen this particular puzzle before. I don't remember exactly what, but yeah, continue.
So, you know that basically your goal is to move that raw magic that's just kind of floating around in the air over there.
Into the box?
Yeah, either onto or into the box, or some way have it interact with the box, and then something is going to happen. You're not exactly sure what. You don't know if that'll be enough to open the door or just trigger another step, but you're pretty sure that that's the first thing you have to do.
Is the box movable?
So you take a look at the box, and it is some kind of stone. You can't place your finger on what it is, but it probably weighs about as much as a mid-sized sedan.
Oof.
Okay. Then I definitely want to try to use magic. Defo.
All right, let's see what happens with that.
Okay. I'm gonna roll plus weird. I got a 9 plus, I believe, 2. Yes.
Okay, so on a 10 plus, the magic works without issues. Choose your effect. So you can choose anything off of that effect list there, although I'm not sure that any of those are specifically tailored to this kind of situation.
I think maybe do one thing that is beyond human limitations might make sense.
Yeah, that could definitely work if that's what you want to go for. So what is it that Yuri is going to try to do here?
I want to move all the foggy over to the thing. Because you told me that, right?
Why not move the box instead?
I don't know. That's funny. I don't know. I thought it was weird that you wanted to move the box.
Well, I bet if you're picking something outside human limitations, I thought that would mean like super strength to move the mid-size sedan stone.
Telepathically controlling some fog is also pretty outside of human limitations.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
So that's what you want to do then, Yuri? You want to kind of try to use some kind of magic to move that raw energy towards the box, into the box? What is the...
Towards the box?
Okay.
Yeah.
So...
It's just like split halfway down the... Like, exactly middle down the line?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think in my brain, like, at least for Yuri, just shift it over there.
Okay, so
What if we take the red box and shift it over there?
So you're just looking to shift it over the line into the red half of the room.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so...
Clean.
That,
nice and cleanly.
That gives me a pretty good timing to explain kind of how magic works in the world. Obviously, you have people like spell slingers and other specialities that are really tapped heavily into magic and can use it on a regular basis to do basically whatever they want. Things like throwing fireballs, calling lightning, all your classic kind of wizardy stuff. Whatever that force is, and even the fine minds at ORB don't quite understand how magic works or what its actual source is at this point in time, everybody can tap into a little bit of that given the right circumstances and techniques. And part of what ORB's training teaches people is how to do that kind of basic level interaction with whatever magic is. Now, there is always an inherent risk when you're tapping into something powerful like that you make a mistake and something goes horribly, horribly awry. But you rolled pretty well, so that didn't happen here. What you're able to do is you reach out, and when I say reach out, I don't necessarily mean physically, but you are able to kind of project your consciousness almost towards that raw magical energy and direct it. And once you do that, it enters the other half of the room and it begins to violently swirl around the box immediately. What do you do?
Oh boy, you did it now, kid.
What? Is it swirling like into the box? Is it just like reacting to the box?
As best you can tell, it is swirling around the box, and it is going so hard that it's generating like wind inside of the room.
Okay, so like it don't like the box. Not a big fan of the box.
Well, it's unclear. It definitely has some kind of feelings about the box, though.
Well,
the box? You keep calling it a box, but is that in shape? Is it like a cube, or is it? Can I open it? Said box?
So
it's stone.
So it's a solid stone cube.
Okay. Okay.
But it's a box. It's a cube. It looks like a box.
Yeah. I was just clarifying. Had to make sure I couldn't open it, so the gas could get sucked up or something.
Well, that was my big move. My big idea.
Oh boy.
What you doing, Rogers?
Rogers is gonna. Oh wait, how often does that dark side come into play?
So
is it like every time I use a move or no?
So that's actually kind of at my discretion.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it depends on.
I was just making sure.
It depends on what it is you're looking to have your powers do.
Right.
The bigger the ask, obviously, the more likely you're going to have a kind of side effect.
That's fair. So it won't happen every time I use a move, right?
No, not every time.
That's just not how it works. Okay. And Mike, you're claiming everyone just has got a little dash of magic in them?
So, I mean, it's not everybody. I mean, like, your regular civilian on the street isn't going to be able to tap into this magical energy unknowingly. It definitely involves a lot of training and kind of meditation and, you know, special thought techniques that you're taught as a member of ORB. But anybody who works with ORB has the ability to kind of tap into these powers at least a little bit.
Trying to interact with the stone.
By doing what?
Maybe just touching it, poking around it, looking around it, seeing if there's...
It's very windy over there.
Yeah, so right now, the magical energy...
Anything I can press, or... Yeah, you know.
Yeah, the magical energy is swirling around the stone. You actually can't see the stone right now. It's in...
I'm just gonna walk up to it and latch on.
Oh, boy. Just shove my hand inside, reach for the stone, and hope for the best? I don't know. Yeah, let's go for it. YOLO!
Oh, okay. So, Agent...
I don't even know what that would be.
So, Agent... it's not a move.
What would that be?
So...
It's
just an action.
So, Agent Rogers...
Put my hand on the stone.
As you approach, the raw magical energy that is cascading violently around the stone, and you reach your hand out to touch it, the moment that your hand makes contact with the energy, you are severely burned, and you are sent flying backwards across the room, and you take two harm.
Oh, kid! Don't do
what
that.
you should have done and read a bad situation.
Oh, kid, don't do that. Shit.
6 plus...
I could really use some of that Micheal secret stuff.
Plus sharp is... Did he take any harm from that?
Yeah, he took 2 harm.
2. I took 2.
Dude, you're lucky we had that secret stuff before. You'd be dead right now. I rolled a 6 plus 2, so 10. I'm reading a bad situation.
Okay,
so
you get 3 of those.
Ooh! Okay.
Dang.
So my options are, what's my best way in? What's my best way out? Are there any dangers we haven't noticed? What's the biggest threat? What's the most vulnerable to me? What's the best way to protect the victims? Let's
victims being us.
I mean, I guess, but I don't really love that one.
No, I'm just kidding.
The first one I definitely want to do. Do I have to pick all 3 of them, or like?
No, you can take one at a time and kind of react based on that.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. What's most vulnerable to me?
Wow.
So, I mean, most vulnerable to you right now would probably be your own body, because obviously...
Well, that's a literal way of taking it.
Well, I mean, there's no
nothing else.
Yeah, there's no immediately apparent vulnerability that the magic or the stone has. They're just 2
like
objects.
If you walk over and you touch it, then you get fucked up.
Well, that's not... I for me, what's most vulnerable to me is, like, what is most likely to be affected by... Like, what can I affect in this situation?
So, obviously, the magic and the stone have some kind of connection. There's probably more that has to be done with those things.
I guess, are there any dangers we haven't noticed?
You're not entirely sure. But just kind of using basic logic and what you know about magical energy and how it works, if something were to happen that caused that energy to kind of like dissipate, there could potentially be some kind of violent reaction when that happened.
So moving the energy back away from the box now is no longer an option? So we can inspect the stone and such?
I mean, you
Now
could
that
try.
that's, like...
You could tap into your I keep wanting to call it jutsu. That's fucked up. You can tap into your magic.
Wait, you still have one more question, though, yeah?
I do. What's my best way out?
Your best way out is to figure out what to do with these two things to open the door on the other side of the room.
God. What a useless 10+.
Well, I can't just give you the solution to the puzzle. That wouldn't be very good keepering.
You give me clues.
I've given you guys plenty of clues since you walked into this room. It's not my fault you've chosen to ignore just about every single one of them.
Why don't you try your hand at some magic?
Alright. I'd be down for that. Let's
Try
see if
it.
we can, what do I do with said magic? You want me to push the dust away so we can inspect the stone closer?
You go kick that
you think
stone a
that's
little bit? I don't know. We're trying to shove it in
step
there.
backwards?
Alright. Listen.
Mm-hmm.
As keeper, I'm not really supposed to intervene or tell you anything or give you any hints outside of the stuff that you earn with rolls. When you first walked into the room, I told you that you saw the floating blue mist, right? And a big red box was how I described it, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so with those two pieces of information, what...
It's gotta go in the box, Nick. You gotta put the mist in the box.
Yes. But
You even pointed it out before that he keeps calling it a box. You gotta put the mist in the box.
yeah, I know. But, like, I flat out asked him that and he told me it doesn't open.
Well, just because it doesn't open doesn't mean it's not hollow. It doesn't need to be full of mist.
Yeah, we're talking about magical energies here.
Just put that mist in that box, dude. That box is hungry for mist.
Yeah, but, like, my question is maybe there's, like, a little button. You gotta press on that box. Or, like, something. But now the box
I think
is
he
untouchable.
granted you the gift of being able to tap into magic. I think you need to use that big, beautiful brain of yours. Put that mist in that box.
But Agent Rogers, like, think about this from a roleplay standpoint here. Even if I could use magic, what do I do with the magic? Just use magic hands to fill up the box? Like I would with my normal hands if I pushed away the mist? What do you, like...
I don't know. Roll
The
some
mist is
dice
on the
and
box,
let's see
and
what's-
it's not
let's see what
automatically
happens.
going in. I can't, like...
I mean, there's a list of effects of things you can do when you use magic.
I'm not looking at any of this.
Well, that's not my fault,
I'm just
man.
trying
You really should be.
I'm just trying to use my brain.
You should probably have at least the keeper or the hunter move list in front of you, man.
Would that count as banishing? You don't want to talk to it, do you? You don't talk to the mist. Maybe see why it's got beef with that box. You could observe another place or time. Maybe you can observe when they were making this puzzle, and you can like look over their shoulder and see the answer to it. Or you can heal yourself for 1 harm.
This is super interesting.
Oh my god. Not to listen to.
Yeah, this is audio now. We have entered a realm of
Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna use magic to fill up this box and see what we gotta do here, I guess.
Okay, so you're gonna use magic. Why don't you go ahead and roll that plus weird for me then, pal, and we can move this right along.
9 plus 2.
Alright, so that gives you an 11. The magic works without issue. Choose your effect from that list. I would recommend maybe, I don't know, trapping a specific person, minion, or monster, or maybe like trying to banish a spirit or a curse or something like that. Maybe something along those lines.
Or...
Oh, funny you should mention that. I was gonna summon a monster! No. Banish, let's try to banish the curse, maybe? Let's try to banish a curse from the place.
Close enough. Okay, so you tap into this latent magical energy, and you've done this a couple times before, and with you, Rogers, it's a little bit different, because, as you know, you also have magic that comes from a different place sometimes. You have magic that comes from a much, much darker place that sometimes pops up for you. And so, as you tap into this raw magical energy that's floating around in the room, just for a moment, you have a flash of that darker presence. You're not sure what it is, but you just know that in that moment, when you make contact with that raw magic energy, it is right there next to you. And then, as soon as you make contact with the energy and you start thinking about the box, the energy starts to narrow as it swirls around the box towards the top, and it lifts up into the air, forming a small, compact sphere right over the box. The sphere then lowers slowly down into the box, and the box shakes violently as the sphere of mist and energy enters it, but after a moment it settles, and the box lets off a little bit of almost an electric static. Once that happens, the regular lights come up in the room, and the door on the far side of the room opens. You have solved my put the magic in the box puzzle.
Yay!
We had the same issue when we tried D&D for the first time. New Year's Eve at our cousin's house. We were all very, I don't even know, burnt out towards the end, and our brains were not functioning at full capacity, I feel, and it took us a long time to get through what should have been a rather simple fight, according to our cousin who was DMing.
We were also like 8 people large and had been playing for 5 hours and drinking the entire time too. But yeah, I think some of that applies here.
Of course.
8 people large, right? We're 2 people now, so it should be harder. 8 people, we should have had that no problem. And I see why Samantha got frustrated.
Right, and so these things happen.
And I can see why Mike is getting frustrated, because we should definitely have somewhat of a bigger party for this, I feel.
I mean, I'm not really frustrated. No,
I know, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like and DM frustration.
And this is just one of those things that's going to happen a little bit sometimes as we play, especially in the beginning, but we're going to hit the stride, and we're recording late this first episode, and we're going to move our recording times earlier in the day after this, but we don't have much further to go anyway. I thought tonight we might get into the beginning part of the first mystery. I think we're probably not going to do that now. We'll probably...
No, we're already running at 100, an hour 20 for the recording so far.
So we'll just wrap up this test session here, and then we'll kind of set the stage for what's to come. So, do you guys head out of the room?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Alright, so you step through to the other side of the room, and you are now out of the testing area. You can see behind you that it only takes up probably about the first quarter of that side of the warehouse, and now you're just kind of in the big open space that is the rest of this particular facility. In front of you is a long, dark marble table, and seated behind it are 3 familiar faces. You definitely know who they are, Rogers, because you've dealt with all of them multiple times before.
Right.
And you probably know who some of them are just because you know kind of how these tests work, Yuri. You know that these people have been kind of judging your performance as you go here, and they're the ones who are going to give you your results. The first person that you see sitting at the left of the table, Rogers, you know that this is Duncan Blackrock. He is a battle-worn wizard, and I mean that in every sense of the word. He is the modern definition of what you think of when you think of kind of a warrior wizard. He's been with Orb almost as long as you have, maybe just a month or two shy of you, and you know that right now he is actually pretty high up there in terms of how the rankings work here at Orb. So he is an expert in all things arcane and magical, and he kind of floats around different parts of HQ. He goes where he's needed. Sometimes he still goes out on hunts, but he plays a little bit more of an administrative role now. He's wearing a dark leather duster that goes all the way down to his very scuffed boots. He's got all kinds of belts and straps and stuff across his chest, and he has a big brimmed dark hat on as well. You see that to his right-hand side he has a large oaken staff that is emblazoned with runes and sigils of all different kinds leaning up against the table. And even from here, even though he's sitting, you can see that on his waist he wears the biggest revolver you have ever seen in your entire life. You once heard him say that sometimes magic just doesn't cut it, but a steel slug does. So that gives you a little bit of an idea as to the kind of guy Duncan is.
Okay.
The second person sitting in the center of the table is your friend from earlier, Rodrigo Valdez. He is, like I said, one of the equipment managers for Orb. He's in his early 30s. He hasn't been around for too long, but he has shown himself to be an asset for the company. The organization. He has a kind of slightly dejected smile on as he looks at you from across the table, and he has a little bit of a sheepish grin, but he's not making too much eye contact with either one of you right now.
It's horrible.
And then the third person, actually neither one of you recognizes who this person is off the bat, but you very quickly realize who it must be based on the kind of makeup of the other two folks at the table. This is a young woman in her mid-20s. Again, neither one of you recognizes her, but she has a very curt presence sitting across the table from you. Her hair is blonde and in a high and tight, very professional bun. She's wearing glasses and a kind of classic pantsuit as she sits behind the table. And as Duncan and Rodrigo notice you eyeing the third member of the judging table, Rodrigo speaks up and he says, gentlemen, this is Ashley Curtis. She's going to be your case manager for Orb once we're done with the proceedings here, assuming that you have performed well enough to become an agent. She is quite impressive, but this is actually going to be her first time acting as a case manager. And before he can even finish getting that out, Ashley kind of clears her throat very angrily, because it's very clear she did not want you to know that you were going to be her first assignment. So what do the three of you do?
Whoa, there are three of us now?
Or I'm sorry, what do the two of you do standing in front of these three people?
I say, hey gang, how's it going?
The first person to speak up is Ashley Curtis, your new case manager. She clears your throat again, this time a little more demurely, and says, well, Agent Rogers, I know this is not your first time through, but for Yuri's benefit, I'll just remind you how this works. As you know, we have a kind of ranking scale for agents at the agency here, and it goes from E up through S, and there is kind of sub-rankings in each of those categories from 1 to 5. What I can tell you right off the bat is that due to Yuri's performance on the written test, assuming that you passed your practical, and I'll say just right now that that's a very big assumption, you would be starting off at least as D-class agents of grade 1 status. So good job, I guess, Yuri, on not being the complete bottom of the barrel.
Not bad.
Duncan kind of clears his throat a little bit. And he says, alright, now we have to proceed to the evaluation portion of the evening here, gents. And I gotta tell ya, that was not the best performance I've ever seen on these tests. And the other two kind of nod their head gently in agreement.
I couldn't do everything for the kid. I need to see him flourish on his own.
Duncan looks at you and kind of squints his eyes a little bit, and you sense that Ashley is doing the same, although hers feels like more of a glare. And Duncan goes, Rogers, I've known you a long time. What happened in that first room, man? You fought these training dummies, I don't even know how many times. How did you let it get that much... How did you let it get that much on you?
Let's call it ring rust.
Ring rust. And then you see Ashley actually checks a little something off on a sheet she has in front of her there as you say that. Rodrigo then speaks up and he says, all right. So listen, here's the deal. Each one of those rooms was designed to test kind of a different section of your abilities. The first one was obviously what you might call the physical challenge to see how you would handle a threat physically. And let's say that probably is not something you're going to want to do too often. The second room was a logic puzzle. And the trick here was, and guys, I gotta tell you, you can't overthink it always. I don't know that I've ever actually seen two candidates spend as much time in that room as the two of you did this time. And I don't want you to be discouraged by that. I don't want you to be dissuaded. But sometimes you just... try stuff, see what happens, and a lot of the times the easiest answer will be the correct one. And then the third one, Duncan, I'm gonna turn this one over to you, bud. And he kind of motions towards Duncan, and Duncan clears his throat again, and he looks down at his notes and kind of shuffles things a little bit, and then he looks up at you and he leans his chair back on its two back legs, balancing precariously. And he says, that third room, as I'm sure you figured, is supposed to test, how well can you tap into that latent magical ability that all orb agents have been trained to use. Yuri, I gotta say, I'm surprised that you once you figured it out, you were able to access it as readily as you did, and without any kind of backfire or ramification. It's pretty rare to see that in somebody who's still relatively new to using this kind of power. Rogers, man, you've done that test before, haven't you? If I remember, the second time that you had to come through here, they gave you almost that same test, except that time it was a jar instead of a box, wasn't it?
Yeah, but again, I couldn't take all the fun for myself. I had to let the kid try and figure it out.
If you say so, Rogers. Anyway, both of you performed, I would say, most adequately in that room. You do have the ability to tap into that latent force, and that's pretty important. I can't, obviously I deal with magic a little bit more than your average agent, but I can't tell you how many times just getting off a quick little tap into that power has saved my ass when we're out in the field. So just always remember that, when things are hitting the fan, you do have that to kind of fall back on and give you at least a little bit of a boost. Ashley, you wanna wrap it up here? And so Ashley kind of, shuffles her papers around a little bit and makes a couple more marks and is doing a little bit of a tut-tut-tut as she goes down her list. And she's obviously letting this pause kind of linger and she very clearly is not super happy about the outcome. But she looks up at you and she says, well, after a, let's call it, lukewarm performance, the two of you have been granted D-Class Grade 1 status. What that means is you are a little bit better than the kind of the most basic grunts that we have. But, I mean, really, it should be pretty obvious we're not going to be trusting you with anything too important anytime soon. With that being said, we do have a couple of cases that I think might just be perfect for you two. So you will be getting dispatched right from here to your first case, and I will fill you in on the details of that in just a couple minutes. I did want to ask you something, Duncan, and Duncan kind of turns a little bit surprised because he didn't really think he had any more feedback to give here, and she says, what do you suppose would happen if Rogers here tapped into that other magic that he has? And Duncan kind of grunts uncomfortably and shoots you a look, Rogers, and then looks back at Ashley and says, now listen, I know that you have his file, but I know this man, Miss Curtis, and he's not out here looking to be the Grim Reaper, okay? I think you really need to cut him a little bit of slack here. And Ashley turns back to you and just says, well, I suppose. I mean, he is our resident magic expert after all. Just know, Mr. Rogers, I have read your full file, and I'm well aware of what your whole kind of... And then she gestures at you with that kind of open hand, dismissive wave that people do. What your whole kind of situation is. So just please remember that I'll be keeping a very close eye on you. With that being said, you are going to be dispatched to the town of Essex, Connecticut. This is a relatively small town. They have a population of only just under 7,000 folks out there. And we've been getting some odd reports from one of our people on the ground there. We're not sure if it's anything we have to put in any kind of stock to. We're actually pretty sure that it's just some kind of wild animal attack. We think maybe there's a grizzly bear or something that's found its way down to the region. We're not entirely sure. That being said, we're going to be sending you out there to take a look. Your mission is just to observe and report. Obviously, you know, if anything really has to be handled, we'll call in somebody who's a little more, what's the word? Competent? And with that, Rodrigo and Duncan both just kind of sigh and shake their heads a little bit because, you know, they're not a huge fan of how she's speaking to the two of you currently. And then she shuffles her papers once more, places them back down, and says, "That's all. Run along. The car will be waiting outside. You'll be given the rest of your briefing on the way." And with that, she turns away, looks down at her papers, and it's as if you're not even standing in the room anymore.
I just want to say, Yuri started smiling and stopped listening as soon as she said bear or wild animal. He's very excited for this. I kept listening.
Okay.
Yuri was gone.
That's a good character note.
I just want to say, as Agent Rogers, that, like, you know, in the little, like, side conversation, he's basically having him to himself since Yuri is a million miles away right now. On the way to the car, like, talking about me like I'm not even in the room, and all this and that, and, just essentially complaining to no one.
What were they saying about you? I don't really, I wasn't really following all that. One guy called you, like, Grim Reaper or something, or, like,
No,
talking about other magic.
Specifically said I'm not a Grim Reaper.
Oh.
Jesus, how much were you listening in there, truly?
Well, a lot of what they were talking about, I wasn't really following, so I just figured if we're gonna work together, maybe we should know a little bit about each other, but,
Fair. Listen, kid, if the time comes when you gotta know about it, I'll tell you. But until then, let's just go and do our little observe and report mission. Get back here in one piece.
Alright. Need to know basis. Got it. So I guess we're getting in a car?
Yeah, with that, the two of you get into the waiting black sedan that's outside the exit to the warehouse there. And as you get in and you close the doors, our camera shot kind of pans back a little bit, and we see as the sedan pulls off out through a set of gates from the industrial park that you were currently in, and onto an access road headed back out towards the highway. The camera continues to pan back, and then further back and further back as we come up in through the cloud layer and, kind of up towards the upper levels of the atmosphere there, and then we zoom out a little bit further, and we have just a shot of the Earth gently rotating with the moon in full frame just to the left side of our shot there. And I think that is where, if this were the anime of the game we're playing, our theme song would kick in, and you'd have that Chronicles of ORB splash across the screen. Something like that, yeah.
Good stuff.
That's gonna do it for us for episode 1 here.
Not quite. Hang on there.
Definitely.
So there are a couple things that we do at the end of every session, and I have to ask you some questions, is how that works. So, question 1, did we conclude the current mystery? Well, the only mystery was, were you going to pass the test? So I guess, technically, yes, you did conclude the first mystery there. Did we save someone from certain death or worse?
Defo not.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you could make the argument that Rogers was probably in a bad way if he didn't get that Mike special stuff. But that wasn't really...
It's secret. It's his secret stuff.
Oh, yeah, the secret stuff.
Yeah, that wasn't really you guys saving him, though. That was the benevolent orb overlords there, so I think we'll say no for that one. Did we learn something new and important about the world? I don't know, you guys tell me.
Absolutely. I think we learned everything about
at least
this
a
world.
little.
Okay, so we could definitely say yes to that one. Yeah, I think knowing that you can tap into a latent source of magical energy if you are trained appropriately is probably pretty important information about the world that you're currently inhabiting.
True that.
And then, did we learn something new and important about one of the hunters?
Yes, lots. We learned lots about everybody.
I think that's pretty fair. So if you get 1 or 2 yes answers, you get to mark 1 experience. If it's 3 or 4, you get to mark 2. So each of you can take 2 experience at the end of the session here.
Hey, well, how many experience do you need until you
5
level up per se? Oh, okay. Thank you.
Right. So when you hit 5, you get to level up and take that that first bonus that you get, which is listed on your character sheet. You can pick it from that initial list. And then after you have leveled up 5 times, you can choose from the advanced list in addition to the regular list. So, I don't believe either one of you has leveled up yet. That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense.
No.
And just to kind of give you an idea of how that is going to work mechanically, I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense as you hit your kind of XP caps and stuff to just all of a sudden develop these new abilities in the middle of whatever you're doing. So what I think we'll probably do is kind of in between each hunt that you have, we'll do a little bit of kind of a debrief and a leveling up at the kind of orb headquarters you head back to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah, okay. And then, that might be a case, too, where in between hunts you might level up more than once, too, giving you access to new abilities, and we'll figure that all out kind of off mic as we proceed here. And then, of course, we'll update the audience and everything with your new abilities and stuff as that becomes relevant.
Yeah. For you mechanic junkies out there.
Because we know there's probably at least one of you.
Yeah. Sweating over all those dice rolls and adding numbers. We see you.
All right, I think that probably about does it for me. I think that was a pretty good first session, guys, and I'm really looking forward to exploring this world more with you.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I certainly had some fun.
Yeah. So definitely thank you for joining us. Thanks for listening. We're gonna have this up on iTunes, Spotify. Our podcast host is Podbean, so you could find it for download there. It'll be up on our YouTube page. That's Manzari Bros Gaming. We are in the works of making, I believe, a Twitter and a Gmail account. Do we have that yet?
So we don't have that yet. We'll be able to talk a little bit more about that in the next episode. What you'll be able to do, though, is once we have that Twitter account up and running, each week we'll give you, tell you to tweet, share the show, share it with your friends. That's the only way that something like this, ever makes the rounds. It's really word of mouth. We could buy $1 million worth of advertising and it wouldn't do anything for us. So you'll be able to tweet about the show and use the hashtag that we give you. And if you do that, I will be picking from people that share the show with that hashtag to decide on NPC names that we kind of go forward with. Obviously, these first few, I just have to give names to. Otherwise, it would just be, generic person A or B that you're talking to. But, yeah, as we go forward, we'll use listener names who share the show to kind of work it in there as NPCs.
Immortalize you forever.
And ever and ever and ever.
You got anything to add, Nick?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, thanks again. That's all, folks.
Yeah, I think that's that's another one of those trademark things. Yeah, we'll have to come up. We'll have to come up with some kind of sign off, I guess. But I guess
something nice and clean.
Huh?
A sign off. Something nice and clean.
Oh, nice and clean.
Oh, thought you came up with one.
Oh, yep.
Nice and clean? That's nothing.
Brothers at the board. Something nice and clean.
I don't.
Bye.
I don't know. Stay alive and don't get eaten by a monster. Yeah, we'll kick that one back to the drawing board, folks. But defo. This has been Bros at the Board. I don't know if we said that at all, but that's what this is.
I'm pretty sure.
And thank you for listening.
And we will see you next time with episode 2 of Bros at the Board, the Chronicles of ORB.
Oh, I didn't realize how nice that sounded until you just said it out loud.